You're watching Retirement Talk with Eric Kearney, Southwest Florida's retirement television. He's an author, a radio host, a fiduciary, and Southwest Florida's premier investment advisor. Here is Senior Investment Advisor Eric Kearney.
Welcome to Retirement Talk TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Eric Kearney, and Eric is President and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. Eric, how are you today?
I'm great, Cynthia. Always good to see you.
It's always good to see you. How busy have you been? I know your phone's been ringing off the hook, so let's talk about that first. What's it been like?
It's been crazy. I mean, the past 12 months, people have had their emotions running high. You know, they have more financial worries than ever before. And so we have been working nonstop. Again, we brought on additional staff, which has been great. And the interesting thing about bringing on new staff is it's always kind of intimidating to them because our staff has been there for a very long time and we're like a little family. So bringing somebody into the fold is sometimes very difficult, but we've done a great job with that as well. So it's been a great year. And I think, again, I've been very pleased with everything. And so everything is running very smoothly right now, Cynthia.
Well, I'm so glad, Eric, because I know a lot of people had a lot of questions, obviously, in 2020, dealing with so many different changes, and I know that you're able to give peace of mind.
Right.
So the subject of today's show is the sky is falling and dealing with market corrections.
Right.
I love that. Let's talk about this. Is it always a bad thing when corrections are happening in the market?
No, it's actually a very healthy thing, but a lot of people don't feel that way. So a lot of times when the markets actually start to correct, people do panic. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty that the markets can't recover. And so people always say, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the big one. And I always say the big what, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I've been hearing this and someone told me this. Who, right? And so maybe it comes back to that darn old media, right? And so a lot of times the media sometimes is not always our best friend.
Yeah.
Because again, they want to suck us into that. They want to make us sure that we're watching all the time. And again, we don't know what to think. And a lot of times they're bringing on people into the media that they're pitting each other against each other. One says black, one says white. You don't know who to believe.
Right.
And so again, when it comes to these corrections, we have to be prepared. I think the biggest thing is that we've been so spoiled by a 12-year bull market run that people think that's just how this market is. But it truly isn't. It's going to correct. It's going to go into a pullback mode, and that's actually very healthy for it to begin even going higher. But it's also a good time that we can take opportunity to really make changes to our portfolio to update it and actually make it a better sound portfolio.
Okay. Eric, let me ask you, a correction is not a crash, so don't panic. What do you mean by that?
So a correction is simply just an adjustment in the market. It's not necessarily a crash in the market. And I want everybody to think about this. If you've ever gone hiking, first of all, I would recommend South Carolina, North Carolina. Much better than Florida. I don't even think there is hiking in Florida. So if you're ever hiking up a very large hill, you understand that you're going to get to a certain point and you're tired. And so what you want to do is you actually have to stop, fuel, get some water, get something to eat, and take a break. That's exactly what the markets are doing. And when you're going up this high mountain and you take a break, what you're doing is you're resting. And once you're rested, now you can reach new high highs. Think about the market that way. So every time that the market rests or it corrects, take your time to refuel that portfolio. Buy some more things that you like. Take advantage of that opportunity. That is what a proactive advisor is going to do for you. There's a lot of times where there's so many opportunities out there for you to grab. That's what they're really looking for from us. So when people say the sky is falling, I'm like, well, what do you mean? And when we take a look at the markets and they're just going through a little bit of a correction, that's not a big deal. But to the general public, it can be maddening.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why does the media often make it look like it's the end of the world? Right? Because they do. It's like they put something on there and it's like, oh my gosh, this is it. We're all going to be just toast tomorrow. So
they make mountains out of molehills.
Yeah.
And the people that I really feel bad for are the elderly, and I'm talking about my mom.
Yeah.
And so my mom was she owned 2 tax works offices. She was an investment advisor. So the thing is that she went through all this. But my mom's 84 years old right now, and so she watches the news 24/7.
Sure.
As loud as possible, I might add.
Yeah.
But I say to her, I said, Mom, I said, you do realize that they want you to keep watching. They want you to keep being worried so that you keep it on so that they can pay for all their advertisers. And she's like, I realize that, but I feel like I want to stay in the know. And so unfortunately, it's like a vacuum that we get sucked in, and the media isn't going to tell you good news. It's not going to talk about puppies and rainbows. It's going to talk about dramatic things. They're going to make everything, they're going to take a little molehill and make it into a mountain. They're just taking little things that aren't a big deal and making them a huge deal. And so again, that's not healthy for us.
No.
But that's again where I've suggested in the past that we have to unplug, turn off social media, have some time with your family and friends, and really enjoy each other instead of constantly looking at that news. It's not really as bad as people think.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you bring up, Eric, because I know that when we first went into the pandemic mode, for our own neighborhood where we live, I saw couples holding hands that don't even usually walk together. And the kids were playing in front of them, and people were tossing footballs back and forth, doing the frisbees. People were eating at home together around the table. So with everything negative that has happened with the pandemic, there's also been that silver lining as well, where people have realized now it's important to reconnect with those that we love.
Right. Towards the end of 2020, what we did was we sent out cards to our clients. Look, it was a difficult year. What we want to do is we want you to write us back and let us know 3 good things that happened to you this year. And it was really uplifting for people to write back and say, yeah, it was a difficult year, but guess what? I got to spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
I got to learn how to make some new food. Whatever it may be, send us positive things, because with all the negativity in the world, we want some positivity.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I've really liked about sending that out. Last year, funny story is my sister calls me from Albany, New York, and this is back in March, and she says, hey, Eric, I want to come down with the boys for a couple weeks. Her husband had to work, but she's like, I'm willing to come down. I'm like, all right, come on down. Not thinking my sister would ever do that. 3 a.m. the next morning, she says, we're coming down with a 15 and 16-year-old. So they said they were going to stay for 2 weeks. They ended up staying with me for 9 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So that was my COVID experience with my family, and I was so grateful for that whole experience.
Yeah.
Because I've always been close to my nephews. I love them to death, but we really got to know them.
Oh yeah.
And on a different level, and we're even closer. So I guess that was the thing that I was grateful for in 2020. But again, we want to find the positive things about 2020 and not really, people always concentrate on the bad things. There's always going to be bad things. Let's take a look at the good things.
I agree. Well, Eric, speaking of good things, this is the perfect time for us to go ahead and open up the phone lines to the viewing audience at home this week. Would you agree?
Sounds good.
Okay. To the viewers at home, that number on your screen to call is 800-779-1942. If you have saved up to, let's say, $500,000 for your retirement years, Eric can help put together a plan that's going to suit your needs. Make sure that you can actually live the retirement of your dreams. Again, this offer is complimentary to the first 10 callers only. The number to call is 800-779-1942. If you already have a retirement plan in place, let Eric take a second look at it and make sure it's the right one for you. Does it need to be tweaked? Are you maybe taking a little more risk than what you realize? Eric can help determine that. Again, the number to call is 800-779-1942. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course? Or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams?
Questions about your retirement are normal. So come into our office, sit down with us, and let us help you find those answers.
Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you.
We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement that they've always dreamed of.
They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, They'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy to understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals.
Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement.
Retirement doesn't have to be scary. Let us help you retire confidently.
Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Eric Kearney, and Eric is President and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. Eric, a great show that we're having today, and I love it. And the topic is, of course, the sky is falling and dealing with just market corrections, what have you. So let's jump in and talk a little bit about how people shouldn't panic and sell actually low and then buy high. Let's talk a little bit about that.
You know, Cynthia, there's a lot of people that give me a call and they'll say, Eric, tell me about your past performance. Right then, I know more than likely they're not going to be a good fit for us. Because if the only thing that you're doing is chasing performance, you're kind of missing the whole point of working with a strategic planning company and a wealth management company. Because if people say, you know what, if I did 6%, did you do 8%? Because if you did 8%, I'm going to move to you. But at that point, as soon as you're making 8%, you're going to find the next advisor who's going to make you 10%.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't understand what their actual rate of return has to be. And you might say, well, what does that have to do with buying low and selling high? It has to do with, you have to look at the entire picture. And so investment behavior is kind of taking a look at behaviors that people have, irrational decisions, making poor choices. And that's when all of a sudden the emotions get involved, you're kind of putting to the side all the strategic planning that we actually put into the portfolio. So if we take a look at the ingredients of a portfolio, what is really the most important part about that? There's a lot of times when we go through the portfolio, especially a current portfolio for someone, what we're doing is we're identifying the risk, the volatility, the alpha, and their actual past rate of return. And what we're trying to show them is this is why your portfolio is either doing really well or it's not doing very well. We're comparing it against appropriate benchmarks. We're then showing them their standard deviation. Standard deviation is just a big word for volatility, and we want to get that volatility down. When people actually say the sky is falling, well, let's take a look at your standard deviation, because your volatility, if your volatility is high, that means that your portfolio is going all over the place, and that's never a good place to be.
Yeah.
The second thing that we take a look at is your Sharpe ratio. This is your annual rate of return adjusted with risk involved. And what we want to know is if we can lower your volatility, hopefully you have a higher rate of return or a higher Sharpe ratio. People start to understand this, and they're like, Eric, no one's taught me this in the past. When you want to know how we did so well in 2021, we take a look at alpha. Alpha is actually the horsepower in your portfolio. I want you to think about being out in a little boat and you have a little tiny motor on there, and all of a sudden it gets kind of volatile out there. It's very scary to be in a small boat with a small motor.
Sure.
Your alpha is that bigger boat with that bigger motor that can get through all the tough waves. That's your alpha in your portfolio. So again, we revert back to March of 2020. If you had very high alpha, very strong alpha, you actually got out of that market, you ended up doing very well. Again, whatever your advisor did or didn't do in March of 20 really set the tone for the rest of the year. Our clients had very high alpha in their portfolios. It had the ability to fight through all the volatility, fight through all the commotion that was going on last year. And then lastly, we take a look at beta. Beta is just a big word for risk. What we want to do is lower that risk. It's kind of like when you walk into a room and that TV is super loud. When all of a sudden you turn down the volume, Now all of a sudden what you're doing is you're lowering the risk, lowering the volatility. So when that comes down to, Cynthia, is someone says, what's your rate of return? I'll tell them, I don't know, because I don't know what the markets are going to do over the next 12 months.
Right.
But the one thing that I can do is more than likely lower your risk and lower your volatility, and hopefully that ends up giving you a smoother rate of return.
Absolutely.
So what's happening is when we build a better portfolio, a more sophisticated portfolio, we're getting them away from making all those emotional decisions. And there's a lot of people that say, I have to have this certain investment in my portfolio. They think that that's going to make everything change.
Yeah.
It's not. It's having a sound asset allocation, low fees, strong asset allocation, making sure that it's tied to your lifestyle income plan, making sure that it's sustainable over time. So I want you to think about lasagna. Lasagna can be a very intricate dish to make because there's multiple layers.
Sure.
The better the ingredients that we put inside that lasagna, the better the byproduct or the end product is going to be. It's really no different than your portfolio. The better ingredients that you have inside your portfolio, that rate of return ends up becoming a byproduct of all of those clean ingredients that actually go into the portfolio. So again, there's a lot that goes into building this portfolio, and it kind of calms down people, and we get emotional, we get away from making those emotional decisions. And so again, this is what I've been so proud of my whole entire staff about, because like I said, it's like we're putting our clients through the whole process, that panoramic financial planning, and people really enjoy that.
Absolutely. And I love how you just described that as being basically a portfolio design that's going to weather any storm. So it's not so much based on what the return would be, but it's about just keeping safe and actually not losing too much, but actually being able just to coast along.
Right, absolutely right.
What kind of questions, Eric, do a lot of people call you with right now specifically? Is there one that you're hearing more than anything else?
I think, again, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say desperation, but there's more people that are calling us in right now. They're calling in after the show, the radio show, and they're like, Eric, we need to come in. We have no direction.
Yeah.
And so what they're asking is, you know, what are you going to do for me? And I think what they're really wanting to ask is, what value are you going to provide for me, Eric? And so that's when we go in the list of everything that we do. Again, there's 4 sides to critical financial planning. There's the full-blown financial plan that's written for you. There's the lifestyle income side. There's the wealth management portfolio. And then lastly, there's a concierge service. When our clients call us up into the office and they need something taken care of, we take care of it.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. That concierge service is set up to put out fires very quickly so that we don't have any day-to-day issues. And so the client feels like they've been taken care of. After that issue has been taken care of, the client then gets an email. Can we do anything for you? Have we solved everything that you needed? And they're like, yeah, thank you very much. So it's all these things that we have put into play for our clients to make sure that they know that we're reaching out to them, but we're taking care of these. And so again, it's a very powerful process that we're putting people through, but this is something that they don't have out there.
Sure. Eric, is it ever too late to get started on a retirement plan?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's really some people that come in, and if they had seen me 5 or 6 years ago, even 4 years ago, we could have changed their situation significantly. And that's something where I can't really pull any punches about. The one thing is that, you know, we have to be 100% truthful with people. The number one thing that we have with our clients is trust.
Sure.
And that's where, as laid back as I am, and we like to have fun with our clients, I'm also very blunt with them. And so if we see them going down a path and we don't think it's a proper path, I will reach out and say something to them. And the bottom line is that we want to make sure that everyone is going to be successful in their retirement. So we do see some people coming in that we really can't make a lot of significant changes for, and unfortunately there's not really much we can do. But they also realize, you know what, we procrastinated way too long. We stayed with an advisor that we shouldn't have way too long. And so sometimes, like I said, we can't fix a lot of situations, but the majority of people that call us, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Eric, this is the perfect time for us to go ahead and open up the phone lines
Sure.
to the viewing audience. To the viewers at home, the number to call is 800-779-1942. What Eric is offering you today is a complimentary consultation. If you've saved about $500,000 for your retirement years, let Eric take a look at what you currently have in place. What are your hopes? What are your goals? What are your dreams? Let's make sure the retirement plan that you have is one that's going to last you throughout all of your retirement years. Again, this is a complimentary consultation that Eric is giving you today. The number to call is 800-779-1942. We have to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to have some more questions for Eric about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, spending time with family, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course? Or are you too worried to even think about your hopes and dreams?
Questions about your retirement are normal. So come into our office, sit down with us, and let us help you find those answers.
Eric and his team can answer your questions with a complimentary review of your retirement and income plan, and it all starts with getting to know you.
We specialize in helping people just like you prepare for the retirement that they've always dreamed of.
They'll do exactly that by going over your current strategy to expose the weaknesses that may exist in your retirement portfolio. Plus, they'll explain potential risks and possible strategies to you in easy-to-understand terms and help get you reacquainted with your portfolio and income strategy.
What I enjoy most about retirement planning is sitting down with you and having real conversations about your retirement dreams and goals.
Once they understand your retirement goals, objectives, and dreams, they'll work to custom build a retirement plan to help ensure that you cannot outlive your income in retirement.
Retirement doesn't have to be scary. Let us help you retire confidently.
Because every dream needs a plan. Call Eric today and schedule your visit. You only retire once, so let's get it right the first time.
Welcome back to Retirement Talk TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Eric Kearney. He's President and CEO of Retirement Wealth Advisors. Eric, a great show, obviously, that we're having today, and I love listening to you with all of the guidance and advice that you provide to the viewing audience. Let me ask you a question. How do you help determine someone's likely retirement expenses, if you will, and what their spending plan should be? Is there a formulation that you follow?
Well, what we do is, about 10 or 15 years ago, we brought out a budget worksheet.
Okay.
And I had one client of mine who's feisty, and she says, Eric, have you ever filled one out? And I was like, hey, I'm the one here asking the questions.
Right.
But you know what? She kind of called me out, Cynthia, and the funny thing is that she's like, I don't want to fill out a budget worksheet. Who does?
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think about that. And so we ended up changing that to lifestyle expenses.
Like that.
And now all of a sudden it's funky, right? Because everybody's like, yeah, I want to have a good lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
But they don't want to think about budget.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times where people, that's the very basis of any foundation of a financial plan is understanding how much your monthly expenses are.
Sure.
The reason why is because you get your pension paid on a monthly basis. Your Social Security is paid on a monthly basis. We're going to give you income out of your portfolio on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So what we ask people is, if you had to write one check per month to cover all of your expenses, living expenses, insurance, food, travel, the dog, the cat, all the kids, the grandkids, how much would that check be per month? And so people are now seeing that we're reverse engineering how we actually write that financial plan. How much does your lifestyle cost? How are you going to pay for it? And where's it going to come from? And when we talk about when the sky is falling, there's going to be events that happen all the time. We want to revert back to a sound financial plan that's going to cover all of your expenses, no matter what. So whether it be a market pullback, any kind of event that happens in the markets, I'm never going to want to call my client and say, hey, we have to turn off your income for the next 3 months.
Right.
That's impossible, right? And so again, that's why we're the past 12 months, we've been working so hard because again, I mean, money never sleeps. It sounds cliche, but it's also the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, people pass away, kids go to college, we still want to travel, we still have to spend money, we still have to pay our bills. They just don't stop. And so the bottom line is that we have to keep that money flowing. it's remarkable how much money goes out of our office on a monthly basis to all of our clients to pay their bills. And it was one day where Autumn was actually sitting there and she's like, I'm a little overwhelmed. And I said, why is that? And she goes, do you know how much money goes out of this office on a monthly basis? And I said, well, you send it out every single day. She goes, yeah, but over a 30-day period. She goes, now I just added it all up, and there's a lot of responsibility there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So when you chunk it down, it doesn't seem so bad, but when she added it all up, it was kind of overwhelming to her. But Autumn does a great job. I mean, she's in charge of, required minimum distributions, federal taxes, getting all our clients' income, taking care of all of that. And again, the concierge service is designed so that clients don't have to worry about this stuff. They can call up and actually squash anything that before it becomes a big problem. This is the power of having a team. And again, a lot of people have had a very difficult year, but we make it easier for them through that whole entire process.
Eric, let me ask you, what piece of advice would you give clients that are sitting in the viewing audience today, perhaps waiting to be your client, going to pick up the phone and call you? How do they navigate through 2021?
I think the biggest thing is that I want to know how they felt about 2020.
Okay.
We all had a difficult year. It blindsided all of us in one way or another. So the biggest thing is that what was on the top of your list of your worries? And there's a lot of times where we say, what are your top 3 concerns? And people say, oh, I know what they are right away. So the biggest thing is that list your top 3 concerns and then chunk them down. Instead of it being a really big deal, take that big problem that you have and let's chunk it down. Let's figure out a way to solve this problem. Instead of it being a big problem, again, take slices of it at a time. Figure out how we're going to get it down so it's not an issue. We can actually fix a lot of things, but people don't think that that's possible. But what we're doing is that we're doing a lot of portfolio recovery strategies. We're doing a lot of lifestyle expense changes. We're writing a lot of and revamping a lot of old financial plans that people have. There's a lot of people, again, that don't ever have had a financial plan. So we're building that plan. We're actually providing them some optimism from a financial standpoint. They want to know that I can make a change and that it's going to make a big difference down the road. So the thing that I like about putting them through the whole process is we're getting them reacquainted with their portfolio. And again, everyone likes that. It's actually enlightening to everyone involved. And I'll tell you, after the first meeting, there's a lot of people that come in really tense. And by the end of the meeting, they're actually sitting back in the chair and they're like, I actually really like this. I'm excited about this. When we can get someone excited about financial planning, I'm all about that.
Absolutely. Well, I can totally see that being the case working with you, Eric, because again, you bring such joy in life to everything, everyone that you touch. So again, I can't thank you enough for just the quality of shows that you bring to the viewing audience. And I know, like we've talked about in the beginning of the show, your appointments have been just amazingly busy. You've been so incredibly blessed.
Yes, very.
Most definitely. Well, Eric, I can't believe we're almost to the end of another show because they go by so fast. So thank you so much for another great show. To the viewers at home, that number to call is 800-779-1942. If you have questions about how to plan your perfect retirement, Eric has the answers for you. Again, you only retire once. Let's get it right the first time. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We look forward to seeing you back here again next week. Thank you for watching.
Hey, Southwest Florida, Eric here. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in a second opinion or a fully blown written financial plan, let's get you reacquainted with your portfolio, and again, without any obligation. If you're interested in your very own income plan, let's get you reacquainted with that as well. Give us a call today. Strive for excellence. Your wealth deserves it.